Hi everybody and welcome to this video as part of the BK Guides series. These videos are aimed at those playing tour play in Golf Clash, either stepping up into a new tour for the first time or having to learn a new course as part of some tour course reshuffles in the game. We're going to be going through overviews of all holes, starting with the par 4s, then the par 5s, and then finishing with the par 3s. And I'll be showing you some general routes and elevations for all of the tee boxes, including my thoughts on some tour play strategy where appropriate. With the shootouts, I will be giving my thoughts on how close ideally you should be to the pin in order to have a good chance of winning the game. Before we get started, timestamps for the holes will be in the video description down below, and if you are new here, please do consider becoming a subscriber here on the BK Golf Clash channel. Hit the bell button and get notified when we go live, and if you're enjoying the content, please do leave a thumb up on the video. We're going to be looking at the Maple Bay course, inspired of course by Canada. A lovely course here, lots to discuss, and I'm very much a fan of this one. I think it's lovely design and some very nice routes on the holes. So let's get started. We're looking at, first of all, the par 4s. Two routes to consider with this first par 4 then, and they're both playing 10% on the drive, and the second shot I would also play 10% either side as well. For me, the right side is the better option, purely because I'd rather in tour play approach with a short iron rather than risk the rough bump. So the right hand side ideally is bouncing over the bunker. You are of course going to need some top spin as well as some right spin depending what tee you're playing from, and you want to get down there into short iron range. With the second shot, play it 10% at club distance, but you've got to try and find a very good landing point here. That's the only drawback of the right hand side. There is a little hump on the fairway before the green, so try and get a decent place to land, but either way you've got a good chance there on the right. If you do have headwind, that may not be an attractive route. You can go left side, but what I haven't shown here, which is what I have done occasionally, is actually lay up in the centre of the diagram, kind of in between the blue and the red cross. That obviously is going to give you a wood club to the green, but if you don't fancy left side or going with overpower on the right, you can just do a safe layup there as well. If you're going on the left side, obviously you're bouncing over there where the blue cross is situated in that kind of area. The second shot there, you can either do a standard bounce on the fairway with the long iron, or if you're feeling brave and you've got these adjustments sorted out either from tournaments or previous knowledge, you can go for a rough bump here, but in tour play I'm kind of less inclined to do that as it is a little bit more risky than a standard bounce up here. So you do have a good chance for an eagle on this one with the first par 4 of the course. Now this one is a fun par 4, and if we get some tailwind here, then the idea is to send it and try and get to the green area in one. Now rookies will be able to manage this with a Titan most likely, but if you're playing from second or third tee, even though I wouldn't usually recommend going with a berserker for tour play, this will be an advantage here, particularly from third tee because of the extra distance. And it's one of those you just have to go for it, I think, really. To try and bounce on the rough with some top spin and then roll out either to the fringe or near the fringe, or if you are lucky you can get on the green as well. It's one of those you're just going to have to take a chance and play aggressively really in tailwind. 10% extra, although obviously if the wind is very strong I would think about having 20% here due to the extra wind push. If we do not get tailwind, then it's obviously going to be the black line bouncing over there, that massive fairway bunker in the middle of the two pieces of fairway at least. 10% extra, going to need top spin, left spin, and if you've got left curl on your driver as well, go with that. The idea is then you're going to be left with a long iron shot for the approach on the black line. Now I've put 0% here, but the problem with the fairway is that it does slope up, so depending how much roll you get on your drive, you may have to add some elevation. If you finish further up the slope, you might want to play +10, but if you roll more flat to the approach onto the green, then I would go with 0. The rough bump is going to be the best option here. Obviously there is a bunker to contend with, so if you do adjust downhill into the bunker, you will need to compensate. But like I said, it's an interesting one, and chances are if you're both going for green in tailwind, you will both likely have to deal with a berserker or whatever ball you've managed to use in the shootout. So that's why this one for me is quite a fun one when it comes up in tour play. And on to the last par 4, and again a very good chance for an eagle on this one, providing we can get into range with our short iron. White line is my preferred option, and we do have some room here to bounce on that small island of fairway in the middle. Definitely easier from front tee doing this, and middle tee, generally this is possible most of the time unless you do have strong headwind. With the rear tee, if we can get onto there, then use it. If not, chances are you've got a great apocalypse level to work with. You can bounce over on the black line as well. Put plenty of top spin and left spin on here. We want to get right far down towards that stream near the green. Now from there, I've put 10% on the second shot. However, in stronger winds and definitely from the third tee, I have been playing this 20. The idea is I like to use the slope at the back of the green. So I bounce with a couple of bars of backspin above the pin and then take the slope and roll back down. Obviously, if you've got a higher level thorn, this is very, very useful here. If you do have low level, that's going to be a little bit more problematic, and for rookies, you may just want to go at the pin directly if you are playing from front tee. But you've got a very, very good chance of an eagle here, so do get a decent drive. Think about adjusting down into the sand if you are going for the island, and make sure you're compensating as well. And if you're using curl, leave a little bit of room for that as well, especially going for the black route. So 10% on the drive, 10%, maybe 20 on the second shot. If you are enjoying this guide, be sure to check out the channel homepage on YouTube or visiting bkgolfclash.com, where you'll find lots of other Golf Clash content, including general walkthroughs for all tournaments in the game. Main tournaments, major tournaments, and also 9-hole cups. Now onto the par 5s, and for this one, definitely going to need a power 3 ball regardless of what tee you are playing from. I've only got one route here. You obviously can use the fairway on the left, but I do feel you're going to have difficulty guaranteeing a shot for the green in 2 if you go left side. So for me, it's this strip of fairway slightly to the right. It is a narrow strip of fairway, so we do need to be accurate here. But you want to bounce before the bunker with a good amount of top spin and get yourself as far down there as you can without risking the rough. Obviously, if you are in the rough, you get any form of headwind on the second shot or even crosswind, you are really going to have great difficulty getting to the fringe or the green. 10% extra on the drive. Second shot also playing 10%, and you've got 2 options here. Bouncing where the black cross is, you can do a secondary bounce rough bumps. That means we bounce directly on the fairway, go over the water, second bounce in the rough, and then rolling out up to the pin. Sniper, of course, is very, very good for this. There is a chance, of course, for an albatross here, but if you're not really feeling brave or don't want to go aggressive, then just play onto the right side of the black cross, use some left spin and left curl, and get onto the green safely that way. 10% extra. Obviously, if you are going from the back tee, then the cataclysm is best here, because if you do get headwind and you haven't managed to get far down there on your drive, it will remove the need of overpower. So you've got some options there. You might want to wait if you are going second on this one. See what your opponent does. Obviously, if they do drop albatross, you will need to go for it. But either way, you do have some choices there. But it's an interesting par 5, but accuracy is key on the drive. Now, with this one, again, there is an option on the right, but I do find it very, very difficult to guarantee yourself getting onto green in 2. So for me, I've got some left-hand options ready. The black line here is primarily for front tee. You can reach directly over there, or you can rough bump yourself out onto that fairway. From there, you are going to need a wood club with a good amount of distance, though, so make sure you do have something that you can use that isn't going to compromise you in shootout. 10% on the drive, 10% second shot. The white line for more developed drivers, and definitely from second and third tee, does involve using some top spin, left spin, and also a decent amount of left curl. So make sure you leave room for the left curl, particularly in winds going right to left. You don't want to land directly into the rough. So hopefully you've positioned yourself in a decent spot, and then you can bounce over onto the green where that blue cross is. Of course, if we do get send it wind, there always is an option to go full blast. However, you've got to think about the shootout here, and whether you want to risk it is up to you. Either way, it's a fun par 5, this one. I enjoy this one on the Maple Bay course. On to the last par 5 then, and this does present some tricky choices in terms of what club you want to use here. Black line for the front tee, usually playing straight ahead to the left, bouncing over onto that little piece of fairway there, where the tip of the arrow is, 0% on the drive. From there, you're going to have a wood club bouncing over the rough onto the green. That shot I will play 10% extra. Power 3 ball is advised here because you are going to have to choose your wood club carefully. In headwind, you may well, if you're playing with Viper or Sniper, need to use overpower. However, you can of course go Big Dog or Cataclysm, same for all 3 tees, but you've got to think about the shootout and what you would prefer to have if you want to then think about going to shootout. What's your best choice? And it all depends what level clubs you have and what balls you want to use as well. White line on the right is going to be the best line, to be honest, for second and third tee. And we're going to need a lot of right curl as well as topspin and right spin. Still playing 0%, but here, if you do have tailwind and you do have left to right wind, make sure on the drive that you're leaving yourself a couple of rings clear to the rough and the sand. You do not want to land directly in that fairway bunker, because remember, as we are using curl, that will push our landing position to the right. Once again, from the white route on the right hand side, you're going to have to bounce over where the blue cross is. Good chance of albatross here, particularly in tailwind or crosswind on this interesting par 5. Let's have a look at the shootouts then. 20% general elevation on this one, but obviously if you're further back in certain winds, you will have to play 25 or 30. Usually we are going to bounce over here where the blue cross is, and we need to factor in secondary bounce wind effect. Like I said, it's 20%, so there is going to be a little bit of wind push to deal with as well. Bear in mind, if you are adjusting in winds coming from right to left, you may well be adjusting down into the bunker, so you're going to have to factor that in. Likewise, if you're adjusting with headwind left to right, you're going to be adjusting into the bunker on the left, which may well affect your elevation as well. But the idea is obviously to bounce over there and get yourself, I would say, within 3 yards is pretty good. If you can get within 2 or 1.5, then you're going to have a very good chance of winning this shootout. I would recommend in crosswind though, not to aim directly at the pin. You are going to need to offset here with your general adjusting. The grey cross there is a rough bump. We have played that in tournaments, and it will need a side spin 3 ball and most likely some curl as well. Up to you whether you want to risk that in a shootout in tour play. Generally speaking, I'd be going for the bounce over. Now I'm showing you all 3 tees here because there are several routes available. Now let's look at the black line first. This is going to be pretty much the case for front tee, but also from middle tee in certain winds. Definitely if you get anything nasty in terms of headwind and you don't want to go for the rough bump, then you may just want to play safely on the right. You do have a very good slope at the top right of the green that will bring the ball down very, very nicely to the pin area. So if you can just catch that slope, you've got a good chance of getting fairly close to the pin. 20% extra is the general elevation. Now the blue line here, something we do play a lot in tournaments. I like this one in level crosswind. Again, you are going to have to decide whether you want to risk this in tour play. Maybe one of those that you can just see, make a judgment call, particularly if you're going second in a shootout, then you can see what you need to beat as to whether you think you need to go for this one. But if you're playing from second tee, the sniper is excellent for this rough bump. Now, white line is where we'll be playing from third tee, and obviously it's going to be either wood club in tailwind or you're going to be using driver in headwind, but you're going to be bouncing over here. A lot of wind effect to deal with, and like I say, with third tee you may need to amend your elevation. 20% is only as a rule here, but you want to be bouncing over. If you come into the pin on the right hand side and a little bit hot, it will fall back down towards the pin area. My guide here is to be within 2 yards really to win, because like I said, the slope on this green does make it quite forgiving. So few routes to choose from, very much tee and wind dependent. Now on to the final shootout, and it is by far the most tricky, both in tournaments and also tour play. 35% general elevation here, and that is for all tees. It's downhill to the island where we're bouncing, and it's downhill again to the green. So your secondary bounce wind effect is pretty severe on this one. You will need to factor that in. Now, front tee, all depends what power ball you're using, but it's most likely you're going to be using a long iron here and bouncing over. Second tee, going to be the sniper, and from third tee, it's either going to be the wood club or the driver. Obviously, there's quite a few people that know this. Used to be in Tour 11 a long time, so there's a switch over shot here as well. There are 2 areas to bounce. One is in front of the bunker there where the black cross is. The second one is just to the right. Obviously, you will need more side spin and maybe even some curl as well. But be careful, if you do adjust into the sand, you are going to lose distance on your shot, so you will need to counter that by pushing up 1 ring away from the tee. This is a tricky shootout. You will need to offset your ball guide here, and I would say really within 4 yards is a decent effort. Obviously, if you can get within 2.5 yards, you've got an excellent chance of winning. Thank you very much for watching this course guide video. If you have found it useful, please do share amongst your friends in the game, and don't forget to check out the rest of the course guides in the playlist. If you do have any questions whatsoever, please do join us on Facebook in our group BK Golf Clash. We have thousands of members there. Link is in the video description down below. Friendly place where players of the game of all skill levels can interact, help each other out and ask questions. So you can ask away there. No question will be considered too trivial. Wonderful people there will be happy to help out. Thank you once again for watching. See you all very soon. Bye for now.